Hello, so in this video, we are going to learn about point slope. So go ahead and title your notes, Unit 3, Lesson 14B, Video Notes, Point Slope. Okay, so our today's objective would be, I can write a linear equation given a point and a slope to identify the slope and y-intercept. And just like it says in the name, all we need, so like if you walk away from this video, understanding point slope, all you need is exactly what it sounds in the name. You need a point, and you'll see it's going to be identified usually as x1 and y1, and you will need a slope. That's all you need to write an equation, a linear equation. So here, this picture is just for us to remember the other forms of slope. So here you have standard form, ax plus by equals c, and then you have slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. We are going to talk today about point-slope form, okay? And this is usually in this formula. So we have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And so from there, we can, this formula is useful for us in terms to identify a y-intercept. What we haven't really covered yet is determining our y-intercept when we're not given it. So before you were given maybe 2 points where you had 0, 2, and 5, 8, for example, but and so we can already tell that this is the y-intercept, and we didn't need to do additional work. Now we're going to see examples in this video what would happen when we're not given a y-intercept and how we can find it. And the way we can do that is with point-slope form. Okay, so right here you want to. I'm going to star this because you need to know this formula. It's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, so this is the structure that I'm going to be using for point slope. Okay, so this is point slope formula. So make sure you write that in your main section in your notes. So we're going to move on to example 1 to see how to use the structure. So here it says, let's find the equation of the line that passes through the point 4, negative 3 with a slope of negative 2 in point slope form and in slope intercept form. So we have point slope form and slope intercept form. Okay, so what we can do is go ahead and identify what we already know. So they already given us information about slope of is negative 2. So we can go ahead and write m is equal to negative 2. We don't need to find slope. And they gave us a point, which is great. So we can go ahead and identify, and just to make the colors match, this could be x1, and this one will represent y1. Okay, so what that means is we can go ahead and substitute these into this information, our point and our slope, into point slope formula. So here we go. We have point slope formula. Right. So what we have to do first is write out the structure. Okay. And since we already know we've already identified our y1 and our x1 values, we can go ahead and substitute those in. So I have y minus my y1, which is negative 3. So I'm going to substitute negative 3 in here, equals m, which is negative 2, our slope. And then we have x minus y, or x1. So x1 is 4 in this case. So we're going to say minus 4. Okay. And then after that, we will go ahead and just clean this up and say the only thing we can simplify here is changing this to addition. So we have y plus 3 equals negative 2 times x minus 4. And that's our equation in point slope formula. or point slope form. Okay. What we at this point, that's all we can do. But it did say to write it in slope intercept form. So the way we can identify this in slope intercept form, intercept form, is by multiplying these out and simplifying it. So what we can do is I can rewrite our equation from point slope. So we have y plus 3 equals -2 times x minus 4. And what we can do next is distribute the -2, and we'll get y plus 3 equals -2x. -2 times -4 is +8. Subtract 3 on both sides to isolate the y variable. We'll get y equals -2x plus 5. And this is essentially the same line. If we were to graph these, it would give us the same exact line, except that the form is different in terms of the equation, right? This is the point slope form, and here's the slope intercept form, okay? And what's really nice about this slope intercept form is that now we can identify our y-intercept, okay, which is great. And one thing I didn't write here, but let's just say that we wanted to have 2 points. Okay, so in addition, so you can do this on the side of your notes. Let's say we were given 2 points, given only 2 points. So given, let's see, 2 and -3 and 3 and 5. And they're like, okay, let's write a linear equation in point slope form. Okay, so in this case, when we're just given 2 points and we don't even have the slope, like this problem is nice, they gave the slope to us. But right here, they did not. So what we need to do is we actually need to use our other formula, our slope formula, to identify the slope first, and then go ahead and change it into point slope. So here's what I mean. So we know that our slope formula is the change in y over the change in x, which is the same thing as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and label this and identify this 2 as my x1, and this 3 is my x2, and then this will be my y1, and this will be my y2. Okay, now we can go ahead and substitute those in, and I will get y2 is 5 minus -3 all over 3 minus 2. And this will end up being 8 over 1. Okay, so our slope in this case is m equals 8. Now, if we need to write a linear equation in point slope form, then remember, we just need to have a point and a slope. So we have the slope, and we were given 2 points, so we can pick one of them. So we can go ahead and write the structure where we have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, now since we already identified this point as x1 we labeled them already with x1 and y1, we can go ahead and just use that and substitute it in. So y minus my y1, which is a -3, and then equals m, which we've identified as 8, times x minus my x1, which is 2. Okay, and we just simplified. We need to simplify further. So we have y plus 3 equals 8 times x minus 2. Okay, and so that is our point slope formula, point slope form of the 2 points. Okay. Great. All right, so we're going to move on to example 2, where this time we weren't given the slope or a point, or even just 2 points. This time we were just given a table, right? So here we want to write a linear equation in point slope form. Okay, and then I want you all to add in here and say and find the y-intercept. Okay, and the reason why is so that way we can start seeing the connection of how we can change point slope form to slope intercept form. Okay, so in this case, what we want to do if we're given a table, we want to select 2 points. We want to select 2 points. So I'm going to select -3 and 4 and -1 and 8. So I'm going to write those over here, -3, 4, and -1 and 8. And since we selected those points, it's always good to go ahead and identify your x1s and x2s. So we'll have x1 here. This is my x2. And this is my y1 and my y2. Great. Cool. So moving on to step 2, we're going to identify the slope. Right? So again, to use point slope form, we need a point and we need a slope. Well, we got 2 points, which is great because we were given a table. Now we got to identify the slope. So the slope again is y2 minus y1 and x2 minus x1. So we'll go ahead and substitute. So here I'll have y2 is 8 minus 4. And then my x2, we have -1 minus and -3. Okay. And then we should get 4 over 4 over plus 2. And so m would equal 2. So we've identified our slope, which is great. Now that we've identified our slope, to write it into point slope form, we need to actually write out the structure. So we would say write point slope formula. Right? So we have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, so we'll go ahead and substitute what we already have. So we already know the slope is m equals 2, so we have 2 here, times x minus x1, which is a -3, minus -3. And then we have y minus y1, which is 4, equals this. So our final equation is y minus 4 equals 2 times x plus 3. Plus 3. Okay, so that is our equation for our line in point slope form. Okay, now I said to find the y-intercept because right here we can't identify the y-intercept in this form. So in order to find y-intercept, we need to change this into slope-intercept form. Okay, so we'll say to find y-intercept, need to change to slope-intercept form. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite our equation down here one more time. So y minus 4 equals 2 times x plus 3. And like we see in the last example, we can go ahead and distribute this 2. And we'll get y minus 4 equals 2x plus 6. And then we can go ahead and minus 4, isolate y, we'll get 2x plus 2. So in this case, our y-intercept is 2. So y-intercept is 2. Okay, well, that is it for this video. So go ahead and write your summary and move on to the next video.